Well, coaching dominoes are falling. Which way they are falling is a little bit of a mystery at this point, and which ones are falling. We do have an offensive line coach. We might or might not have a defensive coordinator. I'll get into what details we have as soon as I go through that whole thing telling you this is WVU Football Going Deep, the channel for fans who like to think as well as cheer. And reminder, folks, this is also the channel that does not tolerate personal insults. And I haven't taken my meds. All right. I got to remind somebody of that on the channel about personal insults. Now, please, if you want someplace where personal insults don't fly, subscribe, share, make comments, click the thumbs up button, and click the notification bell, and do all of those good things that help the channel and help me. If you really want to support the channel, me, there is a thanks button below the video where, if you want to help out with vet bills, mortgage, plumbing projects, all those good things, it is appreciated. Meanwhile, we have an offensive line coach. If you run through the list of names that you have heard mentioned, if you read all of the hot lists, he wasn't there. They have hired unofficially again, repeat, none of these people have been officially announced. But unofficially, Jack Bicknell Jr. has been nabbed as the offensive line coach. Okay, who is he? Well, most recently, he was the executive director of football operations at Wisconsin after being reassigned from his job as offensive line coach at Wisconsin. And he was fired as executive director of football operations not too long after he was transferred over from being offensive line coach. It looks like a weird situation. Now, the story I read, and again, just some quick research, after Bicknell came over from North Carolina, the center was injured, line kind of up and down, didn't do as well as expected. It would seem odd to fire a guy for not being able to do the job the first year under those conditions. I don't know. The story did note that he had helped recruit, I think it was 5 blue chip offensive linemen, or 5 offensive linemen, 4 of whom were blue chip, something like that. But the suggestion that he is a top recruiter, maybe that is why he was hired. Because his record, okay, I'm going to look at the positives first. I'm trying. Look at the positives. He's coached in the NFL, including a stint with the Steelers. He's got a Power 4, Power 5, experience, multiple schools: Boston College, Louisville, North Carolina, Auburn, Ole Miss, which is where Ole Miss was where he crossed paths with Rich Rodriguez when Rodriguez was the offensive coordinator. And he has rarely been at a school more than a year. A couple of times 2 years. He was a head coach, Louisiana Tech, for a few years. But as an offensive line coach, he's a journeyman coach. I mean, he goes from school to school to school, which also means he's not there long enough to put his stamp on the program and really see what he can do. I didn't look closely. I assume in some of these cases, he gets hired, the head coach gets fired, so he has to move on too. But we just hired a guy who goes from school to school to school. We were talking Rick Trickett. We were talking Garen Justice. Now, of course, that's the chatter in the media. That's getting everybody's expectations up. But hiring, Jack Bicknell Jr., odd. Fans of Rich Rodriguez think that he can judge everything football. So they're going to assume that somehow everybody else has overlooked Bicknell's ability and that Rodriguez is right. I have some serious doubts. What matters more than my opinion or the other fans' opinions will be the players' opinions. How is this going to affect the players we already have, the ones who haven't left, including, the freshmen coming in? It doesn't strike me as a hire that's going to make them turn around and say, hey, this is where I want to be. I want to be coached by Jack Bicknell Jr. His father was also a coach. His brother's a coach. So I don't know. Maybe it's a terrific hire, but for me, it's a pretty scary hire, and I just don't see it as an upgrade from Matt Moore. I don't even see it as staying even with Matt Moore. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people want to claim Matt Moore wasn't that good. He did a good job with especially with what he had early. But that's where we stand offensive line. Word is still that Rhett Rodriguez will be the quarterback's coach. It's not certain, nothing confirmed. Rumors. We still do not have an offensive coordinator, and really don't have anybody on the radar that I have heard of as offensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator, the chatter had gotten pretty heavy for Ali out of Oklahoma. Would cost a ton of money. And, Oklahoma, they played their bowl game today. Their season is over. They lost up 14-0 early and then lost. Navy went up 21-14, held on to win 21-20 after giving up a wide open pass for a touchdown, but stopping the 2-point conversion. So Ali's defense gave up 21 unanswered points. Now, people refer to it as Ali's defense. He's one of 3 defensive coordinators, from what I understand. Kind of a weird system. I read that Ali is considered the main one. I don't know how that all plays out. The defense was very good this year. It's also Ali's first year there, so he's a hot commodity, but with limited, evidence. I suspect he's good, but is he good enough for the money is the question. Because the pool for coaches is limited. Now, after the bowl game, in an interview, asked about the West Virginia job, Ali talked about how he is focused on Oklahoma, his players, 2025. Is he just, sidestepping? Was it an actual summary of where things stand that he is intending to be back at Oklahoma in 2025? Don't know, but of course, you don't expect him to announce, "Yes, I'm taking the job." But it does raise eyebrows. Boy, a lot of things are raising eyebrows lately. My eyebrows are going to get tired. But we don't know where we stand. Talk was hot shot And that really would have been a shot in the arm defensively, probably would have resulted in a number of transfers committing, including maybe bringing some from Oklahoma. At the same time, Allie is closely tied to Brent Venables and may want to stay just for that relationship. But if we're going to go the other hand, which is the third or fourth hand by this point, Venables went 6-7 this year. Oklahoma doesn't smile on that. Whether or not it will be enough in the first year in the SEC to get him fired, don't know. If Venables is fired, does that mean that Allie is more likely to leave? Or does he become the hotshot favorite for head coach of Oklahoma? I do not know. I don't follow Oklahoma. I watched the last 4 minutes of the bowl game today. That is all I have watched of Oklahoma. So I don't know. But some things are happening. Not the way we expected. And we don't know. We should know something about the defensive coordinator, I would think, by tomorrow evening. The second favorite is the head coach at Louisiana Tech. They play their bowl game against Army tomorrow. At the same time, when you go from the high-profile people who were being tossed around on hot lists to a guy who was not on a list for the line coach, you got to feel, well, you don't gotta, but I feel more nervous about the rest of the coaches coming in. We will see how it plays out. It sure looks like I'm going to be talking to you a lot in the next few days. I hope you'll tune in, and thanks. So long.